All right, so today we're diving into the massive, truly powerful forces that have completely reshaped Indian society. And we're talking about a remarkably short period of time, too. This isn't some story of slow, gradual evolution. Nope, this is a story of radical, overlapping revolutions.
And that really begs the question, right? How does a society of over 1 billion people transform itself so dramatically in just a few generations? I mean, what's behind it all? Well, the answer lies in 5 key processes. Think of them as 5 huge engines of change that we're about to break down for you.
But hold on. Before we even name them, just take a look at this. This image, it just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the story we're telling. This isn't some simple case of the new just kicking out the old. No, it's a story of layering, of coexistence, of these stark, visible contrasts literally living side by side. This picture right here really sets the stage for the complex reality we're about to get into.
So what are these engines? Here's our roadmap. We're going to explore 5 key interconnected forces. We've got industrialization, urbanization, modernization, globalization, and of course the big one that's accelerated everything, digitalization.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. First up is the foundational shift, industrialization. This is really where it all kicks off, with a fundamental, massive change in how things are even made.
Now, the textbook definition is actually really important here. It's about a total transformation, and it's driven by 2 key ingredients: power machinery and mass production. So you see, this isn't just about putting up a few factories. It's about completely re-engineering an entire economy, and with it, the very fabric of society itself.
So what does that look like in the real world? Well, first, you see a huge shift from things made by hand to things made by machines. Then, workplaces get mechanized, which naturally leads to the rise of the factory system. And of course, inside those factories, you need a specialized division of labor, which creates a huge demand for a large, skilled workforce. It's like a domino effect, Each point here is a ripple from the one before it.
And this image, it just gets to the heart of that transformation. The modern factory, it's so much more than just a building, right? It's the absolute epicenter of a whole new economic model. It's a symbol of incredible productivity, for sure, but it also represents all the huge social changes that came with it. Things like disciplined work hours, new social classes, and that massive move away from life on the farm.
But here's where the story gets really interesting. This massive economic shift, well, it had a huge, inevitable consequence. It didn't just change the nature of work.
It fundamentally changed where people lived. The factory became this powerful magnet, just pulling people in from the countryside. And that, right there, sets our second great engine of change in motion.
And that, of course, brings us to urbanization. As industry boomed, it directly fueled the growth of cities. It's as simple as this: people followed the jobs.
So, at its very core, that's what urbanization is, this massive movement of people. They're literally leaving the agricultural life behind for brand new communities built around manufacturing, trade, and all kinds of services. It's a huge shift in where you live and what you do, all happening at the same time.
And here's the thing. Urbanization isn't just about changing your mailing address. There's this idea sociologists have. They call it urbanism as a way of life. And what it means is that cities create a totally different social world. Suddenly you have these incredibly diverse populations, different castes, classes, languages, all living together. Relationships tend to become a bit more impersonal, more transactional, and life itself just becomes more individualistic.
And the scale of this shift, it is absolutely staggering. Get this, by 2030, it's projected that more than half of India's entire population will be living in urban areas. Just think about that for a second. That's not just a strain on roads and buildings. It means that this urban way of life we just talked about, more individualistic, more fast-paced, is on track to become the main dominant experience for most people in India.
Okay, so we've seen how people have changed how they work and where they live. The next big engine of change goes even deeper. It affects how people think. And this is modernization.
So what is modernization, really? It's all about absorbing new ways of seeing the world, specifically looking at things through the lens of modern science. It's about applying rational, scientific thought to everyday life. And as you can imagine, that's a process that directly challenges a lot of traditional beliefs and norms.
Right, so the crucial takeaway here is that modernization isn't just about having cool new gadgets or tech. It's fundamentally a change in values. It's about elevating ideas like rationality, a scientific outlook, democracy, and individual rights. It's about adopting a whole new way of thinking, a new framework for understanding your place in the world.
Okay, and this brings us to what I like to call the great accelerators. If those first three forces we talked about laid the foundation, then our next two, globalization and digitization, they basically poured gasoline on the fire. They have dramatically, and I mean dramatically, sped up the pace of change, especially in just the last few decades.
Just look at how quickly this all escalated. It really kicks off with a kind of Big Bang moment in 1991 when a new economic policy threw open India's doors to the world. Then, that economic opening got supercharged by tech. First, you had the slow and steady creep of computers in the 90s, and then, bam! The full-scale digital explosion of e-commerce, social media, and AI that we're all living through right now.
And it's really helpful to see how these two forces work hand in hand. Think of it like this. Globalization is mostly economic, right? It connects markets. Digitalization, on the other hand, is all about the tech. It connects people and makes processes way more efficient. So if globalization opened the door, digitalization built the superhighway right through it. They're a powerful combo.
So what happens when you take all 5 of these powerful engines and throw them into the mix all at once? Well, you get what we see today, an unfinished, incredibly complex, and, yeah, often contradictory transformation.
And this quote right here, from our source material, is absolutely central to understanding modern India. You've got to remember this, that change is not happening everywhere at the same speed or in the same way. The impact is just deeply uneven. I mean, look at this. These images capture that unevenness perfectly. You literally have traditional communities existing right next door to these hyper-modern shopping centers. This isn't a simple story of a transition from A to B. It's a constant and honestly sometimes jarring reality of both worlds existing at the exact same time. So the lasting impact of all this is, well, it's profound. We're seeing traditional institutions like the joint family completely redefined. It used to be a multi-generational unit that worked together. Now it's shifting to a more isolated nuclear family that consumes together. The hold of old customs starts to weaken, and you see this rise of individualism. And here's the really crucial part. While all this change creates incredible new opportunities for some people, it also creates new divides, economic divides, digital divides that can leave others behind. And all of this is happening while India gets more and more integrated into the global system.
And that leaves us with a final, really crucial question to think about. As these 5 engines keep running, and they seem to be getting faster every year, they're forcing this constant negotiation between the past and the future. I think the great story of our time is watching this play out, seeing which traditions find a way to adapt, which ones manage to hold firm against the tide, and which ones are ultimately left behind in this massive, unfinished transformation.